So I got an email from Credit Karma telling me that my credit score had risen. So obviously I logged onto the platform, entered in my credentials, and when I logged in, I saw that my score had rose, but it wasn't in 800. But it did rise, and I am at a good level now. So I would like to take this moment to share with you how you can get to a good level too. So today, the focus of the conversation is increasing your credit score and what you can actually do about that. So stick around because we're talking about it. I personally became interested in my own credit score when I turned 20 years old. Now, until then, I had spent my whole life not really knowing that much about credit and hearing how it can negatively affect your life. So I decided that I would find out for myself. So when I turned 20, I got some credit cards, and for the next 5 years, I worked and worked to boost my credit score to what it is today. Now, with all of that, I have learned a lot along the way, and I want to take the time and share what I learned with you. What alarms me now is the incredible amount of misinformation that is out there that people take to heart and act on. For example, a lot of people out there think that if you make your rent payments on time, or even if you pay your cell phone bills on time, then your credit score is going to increase. Those are going to help you. However, in most cases, they don't. And I'm not saying that if you do things or set things up in a certain way that those things can't help you, because they can, but for the rest of the world, usually those aren't the things that affect your credit score positively. I'm making this video in order to explain all of the real concrete action items that you can take to personally increase your own credit score. But before we get into any of that, if this is your first time seeing my face, then welcome to the channel. My name is Javon. On this platform, I talk about a wide variety of things like finances, money management, investing as a beginner, real estate, and so much more. So make sure after you're done watching this video, you stop by the page and you check out some of the other videos that I have as well, because I am sure without a doubt that you are going to love what you see. Now, also, before this video continues, I have to ask you to do a small favor for me. It's completely free. Hit that like button down below until it turns blue. And also, while you're down there, don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well, so that way you never miss a video when I post. When you do things like that, you tell YouTube that this video is worth watching and you gain content out of it, and it pushes it out to other people like you who may need it. So completely free, takes us less than a second. Do that for me and we can go ahead and begin. Before I continue, I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. I'm basically just sharing with you my own personal story and hoping that you can learn from it. But as far as any advice or any financial advice that you may need, make sure you go fact check everything that I say, and also see an advisor or anything like that for yourself that is certified, licensed, and all of the good things. I'm not that guy. I'm just a 25-year-old person on YouTube sharing my own personal experiences with you in the hopes that it can help make your life a little bit easier. So if you ever used Credit Karma before, then you should know that the platform tells you things that can generally impact your credit score for the negative or for the positive. Today, we're going to be talking about those things. Those things that you should keep in mind are the following: credit card use, payment history, credit age, total accounts, hard inquiries, and the last one being derogatory marks. I want to touch on all of these in today's video because I know that focusing on each one of them has been the key to my success to raising my credit score up over the years to what it is today. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is credit use. In order to use a credit card, you have to have a credit card. So my very first piece of advice that I would give back to myself, even at a younger age, is to go out and invest in knowing everything about what a credit card is, the responsibilities that comes with it. But once you do all of those things, go out and get a credit card, because that is the first method that you're going to have that can start building up your credit score in a way that you can see and then track and then try to improve. Now, once you get a credit card, it is absolutely imperative that you use your credit card in the right way. What is the right way to use your credit card? You see, when you get a credit card, it's going to come with what is called a credit limit. This is the maximum amount that your credit card is going to be able to purchase things for you. So let's say your credit card comes with a limit of $500, meaning you're not allowed to spend more than $500 on that credit card. If you approach that maximum amount to a large degree or even go over it, that can negatively affect you. So a lot of people, when they see this credit limit in their head, they think, oh, I can get $500, so I can spend $500. I want you to take a step further. Even though your credit limit is $500 or whatever it is, for this particular example, it's $500. I want you to spend no more than 20% of your credit card limit. For this example, with a $500 maximum, if you only spend 20%, that means I only want you to spend no more than $100 on that credit card. Now, why do I want you to do this? Well, when you spend a large amount of money on your credit card and it takes up a large percentage of your maximum, then that goes negatively against your favor. Even though you should be using your credit card, credit companies like to know that you're using it responsibly. It may sound a little stupid that you're spending money, which is a good thing because you're also paying it back, hopefully, but they want to make sure you're not spending as much money as you can. They want to see that responsibility, or what they view as responsibility, on your part. So if your credit limit is a certain number, don't spend more than 20% of that, and always make sure you pay it back on time. Now, when it comes to payment history, this is basically a note to credit bureaus that lets them know how responsible are you? Are you paying your bills on time, right? Is your car note getting paid on time? Is your student loans getting paid on time? Is your mortgage note getting paid on time? Is your credit card debt getting paid on time? Or are you missing some of those payments? So not only do you have to keep in mind that you shouldn't go over a certain amount of spending money on your credit cards, like I said before, the limit is 20% of your actual maximum. So my maximum is $500. I shouldn't go over 20% of that, or $100. Not only should you keep track of how much you spend, but you should also keep track of if you're paying off things every single month. I have a own personal model that I follow, and it's basically saying if I don't have the money in my checkings account, then I don't have the money in my credit account, meaning I don't spend it unless I can immediately back it up, and when the bill's due, I always pay in full. That helps you. Now, payment history is where people often confuse what helps their credit score and what hurts their credit score. So for example, missing your cell phone payment or missing your rent payment. Those things, when you miss those bills, that could end up hurting your credit score. So because that's true, people also assume that the reverse is true as well, where if you make cell phone payments and if you make your rent payments on time, that's going to end up helping your credit score. But the truth is far from that. Now, there are some scenarios where if you set things up in a certain way, yeah, for sure, making those payments can help boost your credit score. But for the vast majority of people who don't set things up in that fashion, then yeah, for the most part, paying those bills aren't going to give you the increases that you are looking for. Now, am I saying skip those bills? No, absolutely, because if you skip those bills, they will negatively impact you. I just want to keep you in the loop that paying those bills will not positively impact you as well. The things that I've seen that's positively impacted my own credit score is paying off my credit cards, paying off my student loans, paying off my car loans, things of that nature. When I reduce the amount of overall debt that I have, that boosts up my credit, that boosts up my score. And I think the lesson here is to focus on paying everything, but know that there's going to be some things where if you make payments on, it's actually going to impact you positively, and there are going to be other things where if you make a payment on, it's not going to impact you positively, but missing it could impact you negatively, and you don't want that either. The next category on the list is credit age. This category right here is why I wish I could go back to my 18-year-old self, my 19-year-old self, and tell them, hey, know a lot about credit cards, do the research, and then go ahead and invest in one. I didn't start until I was 20, and I wish I started a little bit earlier because maybe my score would be even higher than what it is today. Credit age, the average credit age you have, is going to impact your score in a positive way, meaning the longer of a credit history you have, the better that it is going to be for your favor. Now, when credit bureaus calculate credit age, they do so by finding the average amount of time that you've had credit. Now, if you don't know how to get the average, it's really simple. All you have to do is add up the sum of numbers and then divide that sum by the total of numbers you use to add it up. So let's say I had 3 numbers, right? 5, 6, and 7. To find the average of those numbers, I would first have to add up 5 plus 6 plus 7, which equals 18, and then divide that number by the total amount of numbers I had, which is 3. So 18 divided by 3 equals 6. The average age of 5, 6, and 7 is going to be 6. So when it comes to your credit history, taking the sum works exactly the same way. Let's imagine a 23-year-old, and that's 23-year-old from the age of 18, they have started working on their credit. So when they turned 18, they got a credit card. When they turned 20, they got another credit card. And when they turned 22, they got their third and final credit card. Now, keep in mind, they are 23 at this time of the example. So if we had to calculate how old their credit history is, we would add up the age of each card. Their first card, credit card A, is 5 years old. at the time that they turn 23. Their second card, credit card B, is 3 years old, and their third card, credit card C, that is 1 year old. So if we wanted to find the total credit age, or the average credit age, what we would do is add up the length of years and divide that by the total number of accounts. So 5 plus 3 plus 1, that's going to give me 9. That is the total amount of years. But if we want to divide that by the total amount of accounts we have, then we're going to be left, we're going to do 9 divided by 3, and that gives us an average age of 3 years. When we look at Credit Karma, we can see that the longer the average age of credit you have, the better it is going to be for your score. This is also pro tip while people say think twice before you cancel any old credit cards, because usually the older they are, the better. If you have a credit card that you're no longer using, maybe it's best to keep it active, but just don't use it. Store it in a drawer, put it in a lock or safe, or something of that nature. All right, now let's go ahead and talk about credit accounts. Now, if you take a look on Credit Karma, you will see that a healthy amount of open and closed credit accounts that are in good standing is going to go a long way towards boosting up your overall credit score. Now, a mistake that a lot of people make is that they think that they only need one type of credit. Like, hey, I'm just going to get credit cards and that is all I need to change the game. But the truth is, credit companies, credit bureaus, they like to see a diversification of accounts. Now, what do I mean by diversification of accounts? Well, basically what I mean is that you don't only have credit cards in your name. You also have multiple things like car notes, student loan, mortgages, personal loans, a whole bunch of other different debt in your name that you are managing effectively and efficiently. Credit bureaus, credit companies, they love to see that. The more you can get, the better you are. Now, here's a very important part. Even though diversification does go a long way to helping out your credit score, it is not something that you should rush into. In fact, it is something that's going to come along with time. So for me, for example, I started off with student loans, but then I added on top of that credit cards. And then on top of that, I added more credit cards, because after I got my first, I went ahead and grabbed some others. But after that, I also added a car note. Then I also added my first mortgage, which is the house that I'm living in. Now I also have a second mortgage. And as time goes on, I'm dipping and dabbling into different forms of credit, but I noticed that my diversification increases as time goes on, but it's not something that I accumulated all at once, and it's probably not going to be the same for you. So if you're looking at your credit report and you're thinking, oh my God, I only have credit cards or I only have student loans, that's not enough, just take a breather, relax. Those things are going to come with time. There's no need to rush the process. Enjoy the process and create a goal and aim for that goal, and know that along the way, these things will come along. Hard inquiries is next on the list, and this category is the main reason why you may see a drop in your credit score after you do certain things like applying for a new car loan, or applying for a mortgage, or even applying for a new cell phone with a different company for a new plan. You see, a hard inquiry is basically when a creditor takes or requests basically your credit report from a lender, so that way they can analyze just how much of a risk you pose as a borrower. The more hard inquiries you collect, the greater chance you risk of your credit score dropping over time. And here's the thing about hard inquiries. Not only do they hurt when they first occur on your credit report, but they also last on your credit report for 2 years. It takes at least 2 years for them to fall off completely, which is why it's so important for you to be cognitive of the fact of how many hard inquiries are on your credit score report, so that way you don't collect too many at one time. Now, if we log into Credit Karma, we can go ahead and see how many inquiries will be good for you and how many inquiries where it starts to get a little bit into the danger zone. Of course, 0 is on here as being in the green, but in my own personal experience, having 0 inquiries on your credit report is kind of unrealistic. At any point in time, I at least carry personally 2 to 3. Now, between 1 to 2, you're going to be in the green still. You can see if you go above that, then you start to get into the yellow zones and the red zones. We want to stay away from having massive amounts of inquiries on our credit reports. Let's say like having 10 at one point in time. That's going to be a red flag to credit bureaus. So you want to keep those numbers down, but don't stress too too much if you have to do certain things that requires that, right? Like you're going to go with the new cell phone bill plan or whatever. Of course you need a cell phone. They're probably going to do a hard inquiry check. That's just one. Next you need a car. They're going to probably do another check on you, and that's another. But know that in the next 2 years, those two things are going to fall off, and by that time you'll probably be ready to enjoy or dibble and dabble into more forms of credit as well. So just know that hard inquiries is a thing. Know that the more you get, the more your points may drop, but also know that it's not a permanent thing. These points do fall off. You do regain those points back when these things fall off, and yeah, it's just something to be cognizant about. Last on the list of things that affect your credit score is derogatory remarks. This is basically what you're going to see if in my experience, if you fail to make payments, right? So if you fail to pay hospital bills, if you fail to pay student loan debt, if you fail to make consecutive notes on your car loan or things of that nature, if you ever had a credit collection agency come after you or something like that, then that is going to lead to derogatory marks on your credit report, which is basically saying, hey, this person is not a reliable source of it's not a reliable borrower because they do a bad job of paying the money back that they owe to the people they borrowed the money from. Pro tip, if you look at your credit report and you find any derogatory marks that you don't believe to be true, you could go ahead and dispute those. You see, credit collection agencies, they have a legality right to provide accurate information. And if they aren't doing that, then you can dispute those and have those derogatory marks fall off your report, which could in turn boost up your credit. So make sure you're very intimately aware of what's going on in your life financially. And if you see anything wrong or that's not completely accurate, make sure you challenge it, because that's important. That could be an important key to boosting up your score. So there you have it. Based on my experience, those are mostly the things that I've seen that have positively and sometimes negatively impacted my credit score. Hopefully you got a lot of good content from this video. If so, do me a huge favor. Don't forget to smash that like button down below until it turns blue, so that way other people can see it and enjoy the content just like you have today. Also, if you don't want to miss another video that I post, make sure you hit that subscribe button down there as well, so that way you can keep up with the latest and greatest info that I have coming just for you. Like I said on this channel, I talk about a lot, from investing as a beginner to the mistakes that I've made and how you can grow and learn from each and every single one of them. I'm giving you the real, and I hope that it goes a large credit towards helping you make better decisions. This is all that I have for you today, but it was a blast to shoot this video, and until next time, I'm going to leave you with a peace, love, and happiness.